everyone. I'm April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up in Spring Hill, Kansas. It is Thursday, December 26th. Merry Christmas, a day late. We're actually celebrating our Christmas today. The kids are coming with the grandkids, and we're having our big Christmas celebration today. Hence why it is 7:37 in the morning, and I'm recording this Facebook Live, which is really recorded, but I'll have it posted at 7 p.m. Like I normally would go live. So thank you for the flexibility. I feel like this December especially has been crazy with respect to my schedule and trying to work all the holiday festivities in. And last week I had to record early as well because my mom had back surgery, and I'm happy to say that she is doing very well with her recovery. She's staying with us for a few weeks as she does recover. She actually lives about 2 hours south of me. But we had her surgery here in the Kansas City area, and that way she's close to the hospital and to her doctors. She'll be with us through her post or her follow-up appointment just to check to see how she's doing. But I'm happy to say yesterday she spent the entire day walking without her walker, which is a huge step because she's been using the walker for quite some time, especially before she had her surgery. And then, of course, she was a little wobbly after she had her surgery, but she's actually being able to stand up straight and go without using her walker. She still rests. I mean, obviously, she's just 1 week post-op, so she's still healing, but the recovery has been amazing. So I'm so grateful. What a wonderful Christmas gift. So anyway, today we are having all the kids in and doing all of our packages and everything for Christmas here. So I wanted to get live this morning so that I could get this posted so I don't miss out being with you guys. Today, I wanted to share a number of things with you before we actually get started on the actual stamp set that I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to my desktop. And I wanted to share some Happy Mail that I had received. I love, love, love receiving Happy Mail and seeing all the fun cards that you guys create. And this actually happened to be a birthday card that was made by Diane. Diane, thank you so much. I wish I should have done my homework and remembered which stamp set this comes from. I think Nests? Yeah, the Country Nests or something like that. I should have done my homework, but I didn't. This was a set that I featured several months ago, but I still love it so much. And the circle embossing folder, and it's just beautiful. So Diane, thank you for that. Then I have a card from Kara, and this is fun. This was one of our paper pumpkins. This was a birthday card as well. So thank you so much, Kara. The paper pumpkin cards are they just keep getting better and better, right? And so this one's a gorgeous card for my birthday. Then we have another happy birthday card. This one was from Krista, and I loved how she did the embossing. She folded the paper over. Again, I should have done my homework. I'm kind of off my mark for a bit during the holidays and everything that's going on, but I still wanted to celebrate her card because I think it's just gorgeous. Krista, thank you for thinking of me. Then I have this card. This is not a Stampin' Up card, but this was from Tina. And I just love how crafty my friends and family and customers are. This is an A-frame house that she's done up with some snow and some greenery. So a beautiful Christmas card that she shared with me. And then this is another Christmas card that I received. This is from Kara as well. And what's fun about this is this was from my One Sheet Wonder package that we had. And we're actually going to be featuring this paper again today. But Kara, great job on this card. I just love it. Thank you for sharing. And then we have another Christmas card from Diane. And I loved how, can you see the embossed snowflakes? How pretty is that? She stamped on some ribbon. We've got a tree cut with some cardinals in it. And you can just slightly see, I think she inked the edges of this, but it makes it almost look like it's being placed on a another layer, but she actually inked the edges. But just such a gorgeous card. So thank you for sharing. And then the last one I wanted to share with you isn't Stampin' Up as well, but this is from one of my customers, Pam. And look what she did. She did a lot of fussy cutting around these flowers, and then she used the Swarovski crystals. And I told her, I said, I felt really, really special when she delivered this. She delivered it with a box of homemade candies that she had made for the holidays. But oh my gosh, look at the sparkle on that. I could just sit and look at this forever. Sparkle, sparkle. So Pam, thank you so much for sharing this. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to talk about a special kit that I've got going on right now. This is our Spring Fusion kit, and I'm going to bring up my website here in just a second. I think I can get it to come up. Yep. It's the Spring Fusion Ephemera Blooms, and I'm going to bring it up in just a second, but I wanted to kind of give you some insight into what this package actually contains. I am partnering with my friend in Canada, Tina. We've partnered together, but this time we're doing the Spring Fusion Ephemera Blooms class, and what we're doing is we're using designer series paper out of the celebration flyer. Spring is going to be in the air. Look at how pretty this paper is. Look, we could do clouds on the back if we wanted to. Look at the pretty yellow flowers. I mean, it just makes you think spring, right? I love this paper. Well, we've paired this paper up with several new ephemera packs that Stampin' Up has, and I just wanted to share with you, I'm making 4 cards, she's making 4 cards, and these are the 4 cards that I've made that you'll receive in your kit. So I wanted to show those to you really quickly because I felt it was important for you to see how gorgeous these cards are. But basically, the deadline for registration on this kit closes January the 3rd. I know we still got a little bit of time, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it. I will ship the kits out approximately January the 9th. You're going to get demonstrations. There'll be recorded playlists. You're also going to get a half a pack each of the different ephemeras, the designer series paper, all the cardstock you need to create the cards, embellishment ribbon, and of course, shipping is included. So I wanted to be sure and bring this to your attention so you don't forget about it. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that this is a to-go class. So I'm going to show you how to create 3 cards. And if you like these cards and you would like to receive the kit for free, then all you need to do is place an order in my online store by December 29th, utilizing this host code. Once you do that, that's my key that you're interested in this kit, and I will package everything up for you. We're utilizing the Regal Floral bundle. I'll show that with you in just a second. So you're going to get all the designer series paper, the cardstock that you need. The only thing that I won't do is any stamping or die cutting if it's part of the bundle. So you'll want to make sure that you have that bundle if you enjoy these cards. And I've actually been using this bundle quite a bit. It was part of my one-page wonder, and I've got some other cards that I've been doing with it. So let's come back here, and I'm going to share with you the cards that we're going to be making. Let me share with you, first of all, the stamp set that we're using. We're using the Regal Floral, and you've got some fun floral, you've got some fun sentiments that we're going to be utilizing. And of course, you've got your dies, and then of course, this is a rubber stamp set. And the reason that's empty is because I'm going to be using those stamps. All right, also I wanted to share with you the beautiful paper. Let me reach over here. I've got things stacked up that we're going to be utilizing on this particular kit. And we're using the Regal Winter Designer Series paper. Look at how rich this paper is. It's just gorgeous. The backs help to, to supplement what you're seeing on the front, but it's a winter paper but it's just so gorgeous and rich. Look at this color. I just love this so much. And then this one's a real red or cherry cobbler. So anyway, we're going to be utilizing this today as well, along with the stamp set. So let's go ahead and look at the cards. Sorry, I've got everything stacked up here. I don't want things to fall off my radar because I want to be able to share everything with you. Okay, here's my kits. All right, so the first card we're making is with the wild wheat and the blackberry bliss. Then we've got another one with balmy blue, and what a fun inside for that. I don't do insides all the time, but I would like to. I mean, when I send them out, I do, but a lot of times when I'm just showing you how to create cards. And then we've got this one. And this one, very, very simple, little plain to me, so I'm gonna stamp this up just a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with this one. And I'm gonna bring the kit in for it. And let's see, we've got our gray granite card base. We've got basic white for our die cutting. And then I've already gone ahead and die cut the label that we're going to be using. Just to show you again, this die cut actually cuts 2 pieces. So you'll see here there's an additional cutting blade here. So when you go to cut this, it cuts 2 pieces, and you'll see how I'm utilizing this in one of the other cards. So let's go ahead and get started on this. I'm looking to see what I need. I've got my basic white that we're going to utilize for stamping, and we'll get that done. And then I'm going to use Mambo, and we're going to use Pretty Peacock. I'm going to go ahead and pull my stamps out. I need the leaves, and I need some additional leaves. All right, so these are rubber stamps, so I don't need to worry about having any kind of cushion for it. Normally, for my photopolymer, I bring out my Stampin' Pierce, but this already has a cushion to it, if you can see. So I don't need to worry about that. So let's go ahead and let's stamp up our flowers. And actually, it looks like I've got one additional flower that I need to stamp. So I'm going to bring out another block, or I may have to share blocks. No, I think this one's going to be big enough. So I'm going to bring out another block. So we'll get that. So I want to make sure I get everything stamped so that we can do our die cutting. All right, so let's start with our flowers. So we'll get this. I'll clean these up in just a second. I'm going to get the stamping done, and then we'll go and we'll get these cleaned up so I don't make a mess. Okay, so we've got those. I'm going to set those off to the side, and I'm going to close up this ink pad. And then we're going to take our Pretty Peacock, and we are going to stamp. Looks like maybe we're going to be doing 2 of each. If I need to bring in some extra paper, I will, but it looks like we're doing 2 of these. Look how pretty these stamp out. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in, I don't even know how to, I'm trying to figure out how I want to differentiate between these leaves. One's like a branch and the other one's more like a bush. Not really, but we'll call it that. And I'm not going to worry about that. I did get a little bit over, but we're not going to worry about it because I'm going to die cut, so we're not going to have to worry about that. But you can see I've got ink here. Not a good thing when you're inking, especially if you are going to be not die cutting. You wouldn't want this on your card. So I have to be careful. It's really more of straight up, straight down, tap, tap, tap. And I obviously was tilting my stamps a little bit. It happens. You just want to pay attention to it, and also understand, you know, am I going to be die cutting? If I am going to be die cutting, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if I'm not going to be die cutting, I might want to consider stamping, or not stamping, I should say, and cleaning that off before you actually stamp. So I'm just cleaning all my stamps off on my Simply Chamois. get those out of the way. That way I'm not getting ink on my fingers, and that will transfer to my card. And then I have one more thing to stamp. And actually, I'm going to put this off to the side. They're going to die cut just a second. I'm going to bring in my card base, and let's go ahead and get that folded. And I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to add the sentiment. And the first card I did, I added the sentiment in Memento Tuxedo Black. I think what I want to try to do is I want to tie the pretty peacock together with the leaves that I've just stamped. So instead of stamping it in black, I'm going to stamp it in the pretty peacock. And then I'm going to add a little bit of interest, if you will, to the card as well. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. Let me stamp off on this. Do I have a, yes, I do have a scrap. I want to just stamp off and see how this is stamping because it looks a little thick. Straight down, straight up. Oh, see, light there. So I always recommend stamping off if you're unsure, just so that you can make sure that you get a good stamp the first time, especially since I'm doing this on my card base. So I'm trying not to get my head in the view window, but I want to do it right down about here. So I'm going to stamp here, make sure I get good connection with the paper. So we've got that. A little crooked, not real happy with that. Let me see, what do I want to do? I might want to make that the inside. If I make that the inside, I can cover it up with a sheet of white paper. So let me try this again. I'm not quite sure why it went crooked, but we'll try this again. But I can cover the inside up. All right, here we go again. Trying to see what, I'm going to test this out again. I don't know whether this stamp is crooked on my block or, let me see. Yeah, it looks like I need to pull it down just a little bit. Sometimes when you put the label on, sometimes the label might not necessarily line up exactly with how the stamp is. So now I know that I have a little bit of space here. I need to kind of pull it down just a tad so that I'm angling a little bit differently. So we're going to try this again. And we're going to call it good regardless of how it comes out. Make sure I get a good connection here. Oh, this is what I was talking about. All right, so let's do something with this. I did get too much ink on it, so I'm off to a great start this morning. Let me close this up, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. It's okay. I'm going to be fine with it, but I am going to show you how I might fix a little bit of it. I'm not going to worry about it too much. It is a handmade card, so you don't expect everything to be perfect. But I do have an eraser here. It's called a mono sand eraser. And basically, I'm not going to worry about the G, but I am going to try to get this spot here below the G. And because it's a sand eraser, basically what it's going to do is it's going to sand away the color off of the cardstock. So you have to be patient. And I'm just going to do this a few times and take off little layers at a time. And eventually what will happen is this is going to become very light, and I might even be able to get rid of it. But again, I'm doing my sanding little bits at a time. You don't want to get too crazy with it. But I can already see it's making a big difference. So I've got that one little spot that I'm going to work on for just a second. And you guys are not going to be able to even tell, aside from just a little bit of thickness on that G, you can't really see it. Yay, got rid of that. Okay, staple in my my studio. All right, one more thing I want to stamp, because I felt like it was a little plain along these edges. I want to take one of the stamps that is in the set, and I'm actually going to add just a little bit of interest. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ink this up. I am going to test it out. For whatever reason, I am really doing the angle this morning. So I'm going to have to be really careful. Tap, 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 and then straight up and down, and straight up and down, so that I don't get that. Let me see, I'm going to do a little bit here. Straight up and down. All right, so just a little bit of interest. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but you'll see how it all comes together. So let's go ahead and close this up and get this cleaned off. I like the chamois because if I'm not able to get all of the ink off, I can lift the chamois up and I can just wipe off on the stamp. Give it a little bit of extra cleaning. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in our cut and emboss, the big cut and emboss. So I'm gonna turn it around this way. And I've got my plates here. And we are going to start die cutting these. And I'm going to try to cut out several at a time. I only have the 2 dies, or the 3 dies, I should say. So since I've stamped 2 of everything, I'm going to need to take turns, right? So we've got this and this one. But we'll try to get as many as we can. So I'm pulling all my dies out. I've got my tape, my mint tape, that's going to help me put these dies, hold these dies in place. So let these get these lined up, and then we will go ahead and cut these through. So we've got that one, and then I'm going to line up this one. And I did, thank goodness, space these far enough apart that the dies are not laying on top of each other. All right, this one will go here. We'll get it. And then I'll have to do, just after I get this pass done, I'll only have one more pass to do, and we can start building this card. Okay, we've got that one. And then last but not least, we will line this one up. See how we did? Okay, so we've got that one. Let's go ahead and put our top plate on, and we will crank this through. Around and move these out. Okay, we've got that one. So we'll line this one back up again because we have to take this one through one more time. And there we go. And then we have this one that we're going to cut again. Pop that out. Get this all lined up. All right, let's crank this through one more time. I'm going to move these off my plate. We'll take care of the flowers here in just a second. Crank this through again. Doing a lot of flower building on these cards, but the flowers are so pretty. And I don't know if you noticed or not. I'll show you here in just a second. Let me get this out of the way. Put this out. The stamps are designed so that you get some texture in the flowers. You can see the lights and the darks. Those are textures in the flowers. And same thing with the leaves. You don't see it so much on this one, but you definitely will see it on this one. The lights and the darks, they give it highlights. So I'm gonna move these off to the side for a moment. I don't wanna lose them. I've got those pieces and I've got this piece. All right, so let's go ahead and bring our card base back in. And I'm gonna turn it this way instead. And we've got this piece And we're not going to use the outer edge. So I wanted to show you something. Whenever I have extras of my outer edges, I just keep them in the stamp set with me because I might utilize them another time. So since I'm not going to use that outer edge, I'm just going to put it back in my stamp set. It'll be there for when I work the next time. And now what I can do is I'm going to adhere this label down. So let me pull this out. We'll get this down. And it's lined up right at the very top. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then I've got one of these, and I was able to get that out. One of these goes right underneath, so I'm just gonna put a little bit here before I push all this down so I can get this one under here. And I'm gonna put it right here so it's coming out just right above my sentiment. And I'm not gonna worry about the fact that I don't have that glued down flat. I really kind of like the dimension that it brings to it, kind of brings life to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then we're gonna start building the rest of it. So we've got these die cuts that are gonna go here. And actually it looks like I needed a third one of these. I'm not gonna go back and do a third one at this point in time. So we're just gonna go with 2 on this one, but I did use 3 on the previous one. So I'm gonna lay that there. And then the other thing, I noticed that I had an extra die cut of this one that I had saved. So maybe what I'll do is, since I didn't cut a third one of this, I'll bring this out and lay it here. And I think that will give me what I'm looking for. So let me go ahead and get these down. So fun to create these cards and never create them the same each time. You know, it's just like, what do I have to work with? How's this going to work for me this time? And actually, I really like that greenery that's here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it down. And we'll get, and I'm not putting it all over, just enough. I'm going to bring my flowers down to kind of help to cover it up, I think. So I'm going to put it like right about here. And then we'll go ahead and get these guys down. And then we'll put dimensionals on the backs of the flowers to pop those flowers up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. And I guess I'll have it go this way. I need to bring it a little bit because I need to make sure that it's still on my card. And then let me see, bring my dimensionals in. And I'm just gonna put one on the back of each of these flowers. And then we'll put one on the back of this flower. Can I do one? Yeah, we'll just do one. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look here to see how I want these flowers to lay. And I want this one to lay so it's covering the intersection of that one, and then we'll do this one here. So we're gonna bring this one in just so that the very tip of it is covering that intersection, which is the intersection right here. So I'm gonna bring this tip in here. And then this one will tuck under. And I think maybe, how do I wanna tuck it under? Probably maybe this way. I'm gonna tilt it this way. Okay, very good. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring in my embellishments. And on this particular card, I'm utilizing the Blooming Pearls embellishments. So, oh, actually I have this open on the side. This is good. All right, so I'm gonna bring this out. You can take your pick. And these are really pretty. This is like a turquoise, pretty peacock, if you will. So, and these are little ones. I'm gonna do this one. And then I'm gonna do another little one down here. There we go. And this card, let me get this stuff stuff out of the way so I can show you this card. Look how pretty this card is. So you decide. I decided that I wanted to do the sentiment in the Pretty Peacock versus the black. I also decided that I wanted a little bit of interest so that the card wasn't quite so stark white. I did have my little faux pas out in the inside, but as you can see, all I have to do is take a piece of white cardstock and that's hidden. So don't worry about it. If you make a mistake, just turn it over. There's two sides and there's always a way to fix it. So we have card number 1. How pretty. All right, let's move on to card number 2. Let me bring this in. Let me see. Let's do this one. This one, we're using the Wild Wheat and the Blackberry Bliss. So pretty. And we're going to do some heat embossing, but let me show you what this kit is. So we've got the basic white. I've got a scrap for me to be able to do my stamping. I've got my Blackberry Bliss. I've got my designer series paper, and then I'm utilizing the same label that I utilized before. But what I had to do is I had to cut out 2 of each, because what I'm doing is I'm going to take the outer edge of that label and I'm going to put it around a different color. So for all practical purposes, I can do this either way. I'm actually going to be heating embossing on this. So this will go into my little folder with the others, and when I get ready to design my next card, I'll look to see what I've got available before I start die cutting. All right, so let me move this stuff out of the way, and we're going to do some heat embossing, and then we'll do some stamping, or maybe I'll get my stamping done and then we'll do the heat embossing. All right, so move this out of the way, and this time we are stamping in Wild Wheat, so let me bring the Wild Wheat forward. And then we're also going to stamp our leaves in Garden Green. So I've got Wild Wheat and Garden Green. I'm going to bring my flowers back in. So we will stamp those. Straight up, straight down. I don't want to get my edges if I can help it. There we go. And I'll clean that off in just a sec. And then we're going to do 2 of my leaves. So we've got our leaf stamp here. Straight up, straight down. There we go. Okay, let's get these cleaned up and we will get them die cut. Simply shamming. If I don't clean my stamps off, it's not that it would necessarily hurt the stamp, but I would probably either forget that I didn't clean it off and tap it into another color, and or more than likely would end up getting my fingers in it, and then I would transfer it to my card. So it's just a habit that I've gotten into, that I clean my stamps as soon as I use them, and then I don't have to worry about that. All right, so trying to get this lined up. So we've got that one, and then we'll have to do 2 of these. So we'll do the first one, and then we'll come back and do the second one. All right, so bring back in the big cut and emboss and my plates. Get these set up to run through. My top plate, move these out of the way. This out. That one doesn't look like it cut very well. I was off a little bit, but we'll figure out if I can fix it. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of fixing on it. For some reason it moved. And that does happen. That's why I use the tape. But sometimes if I'm rushing or, you know, just moving things around, sometimes the tape doesn't necessarily hold it that well. But I'll show you how we're going to fix that in just a second, because I'm not going to stamp again. We can use it. All right, so let me crank this through. All right, pull this out. Get these guys out of the way. All right, let's pull this one out. Put my scrap over here. So we got this little leafy bunch, and then let me move this off the side. We've got this flower, and let me move these off so I don't lose them. And then we've got this one. Now this one is the one that the die moved. So let me poke these out real quick. Move this out of the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snips, and I don't need all this extra white here, so I'm just going to basically kind of cut around it a little bit. It's kind of like fussy cutting. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm not going to capture all of it, but at least I won't have that big chunk of white, if you will. So I'm just fussy cutting around this as best I can, where I can, to make this a little bit more laid back. So I'm going to do a little bit on this side, and let's see, I might do a little bit more here. And again, it's not going to be perfect, but a little less white than what we had when the die moved. All right, so I've got a little edge here I want to even up, if you will. And I have to decide, do I want to do any more? I think I'm going to leave it like it is. It looks good. All right, so we'll move this scrap off to the side. And now I believe that we just need to do some embossing. So I'm going to bring in my embossing tray. And hopefully I don't see my embossing buddy. All right, so we're going to wing it. So my embossing buddy's not here. I'm going to take my brush, and hopefully maybe there's some left on my brush. But basically, when you're using the embossing buddy helps to keep the oils from your fingers, it keeps the powder from sticking to it, because the oils from your fingers will sometimes cause the powder, the embossing powder, to stick where you don't want it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my Versamark, and I've got my little brush if I need to brush away some of this additional powder if I don't want to use it or don't need it. But I'm going to go ahead and stamp "Sending Love Your Way." So I'm going to get it inked up with my Versamark ink. I'm going to bring my label in. Work to get this lined up straight. Let me see, I'm going to try to put it here, and then maybe center it this way. Okay, straight up and straight down. Make sure I get a good press. Looks good. We'll clean that up in just a second. I'm going to close this up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to dip it into the embossing powder. I've got like a little tray here that I can actually pour the embossing powder over. And then I'm just going to tap it off. And look how nice it turned out. Now there is a little bit of powder here. I'm just going to take my brush, brush that off. And the reason it's important to do that is this powder will melt with all the rest of it. So let's get this closed up. Get my ink pad cleaned off. Or not my ink pad, but my stamp cleaned off. Move this out of the way. Get my stamp cleaned off just so I don't forget about it. And then I'm gonna bring in my heat tool, and we're gonna turn this on. So it's gonna be a little bit loud, but basically what we wanna do is we wanna melt this. Let me see if I can do this. We wanna put the heat on it just to the point where it's melted. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this or not, I'm gonna try. But as soon as it gets heated up, it starts to melt the embossing powder. And as soon as you see it melt, you stop. If you go any longer, and you can tell, it goes from powder to like a glossy. If you go any longer than that, it will actually melt the embossing powder into your cardstock, and then you don't have that embossed look. It just looks like you stamped it. All right, so let's go ahead now, bring our pieces back in, and we can actually start building this card. So let me go ahead, and we're gonna fold this up. Okay, and this is gonna be a horizontal card. I'm gonna take my Designer Series paper, and I'm going to adhere it to my Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So we'll get that done. You know, when the color Wild Wheat came out, I wasn't a fan. But, you know, the more I use it, the more I really like it. It initially, I'm not trying to be gross or anything, but it kind of looked like newborn baby poop initially. But now it's kind of got this like green hue to it. And I just see it in a totally different light. So I have really been enjoying it. Now what I'm gonna do, well, let's go ahead and let's get this adhered to the card base to start. So let me see on this side, let's get this adhered, and then we're gonna add the ribbon. All right, let's get this lined up. I love my glue because if I'm not straight, when I get this lined up, I can move it around a little bit. I've got a little bit of flexibility so that I can get it straight. Okay, now we're gonna put our ribbon on. So I'm gonna bring out my ribbon snips. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some tear and tape. So I'm gonna bring my ribbon back again. And I'm just gonna measure out what I need. So I'm gonna go from edge to edge, basically. So I'm gonna take my ribbon snips and I'm going to snip that, okay? So I've got a nice little snip there. I keep a little pin in my ribbon so it doesn't go wild on me. And then I'm gonna take this ribbon, and I didn't really need to turn it over, it's the same on both sides, but I'm gonna take some tear and tape, and I'm gonna put some tear and tape on the back. Use my regular snips to snip that off. And then this is how I will adhere the ribbon to the card. So I'm gonna go ahead and burnish that down. And I can use my take your pick to pull the backing off. And then I can turn this over and place it where I want it to go. So I want to go pretty much in the center here. I'm not going to put it down permanently until I know that I've got it lined up. So I think I'm a little high, so I can pull this down this way. Okay, we've got it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I've got to have a way for this to, they're two separate pieces, right? And I want it to be one piece. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some more tear and tape, and I'm just going to take off a few strips. We'll see. I might have to do a few more, but I'm going to take my tear and tape, and I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to put my tear and tape over the seam. Okay? Turn it around. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Take my tear and tape, put it over the seam. Okay, and it looks like I probably need to do it on both sides as well. So we're going to do it again. So I'm going to take a larger strip, And basically I'm infusing these two pieces together, right? So we've got some here, and we've got some here. Okay. So now I've got this down. You can see what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the tear and tape off of it. And the reason I'm going to do that is because you can kind of see a little bit of white through here. I don't really want to see that white. So let me go ahead and I'm going to put my dimensionals on. It's not really going to stick because I'm going to have it on dimensionals, but this is my way of solving this. Honestly, I made this card so far in advance that I'm not really sure exactly how I did this. I may have done like some cellophane tape or something like that. I want to make sure I don't have any sag here. And there is a little bit of warping, just a tiny bit, because I embossed. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the backs of everything off. So we'll get the take your pick off. To get these backings off. And I'm just going to look again. I see why, not on the edges so much, but I see them on these. So let me just look at this. I'm just going to play this by ear. I was going to take this off, and now I'm second thinking it. I just don't want that white showing, so I'm going to pull this off. So now it's going to be more clear. And then if anything shows through, it'll just be the background of the designer series paper. Okay, so now I can go ahead and get this centered. The way that I want it. I think this is a little high. So I want to come down just a little. Now it's a little low. Still a little low. It's a little deceiving. There, I think we got it. All right, so now we've got this. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my flowers and get my flowers added. Now, because this is on dimensionals, I don't necessarily need to put dimensionals on all of this, just part of it. So I've got this one flower that I know is gonna need a dimensional. I'm gonna come back up here and look again. I think I'm probably gonna put one on the end of this flower. And then this flower will just meet right up here. Okay. All right, so let's put a little bit of glue behind this. If I had my embossing buddy, the other thing that you could do is kind of what's the word I want to use? What's the word I want to use? De-adhesive? I don't know. It looks like I stamped the wrong ones here, but we're going to work with it. I needed a different, I used the bush, if you will, for one of my greenery. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And honestly, I'm just going to tuck it in and glue it at the top. You'll see what I mean in a second. I'm probably, I get in trouble because I'm thinking out loud, but I'm not finishing my sentences. And you guys can't necessarily read my mind. So let me show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. But again, no right or wrong, right? You just do what you do. This isn't fitting in the way that I want it to, so I'm going to cut this one little leaf off because it's in my way. And then I'm going to try to tuck this in again. Let's see where I want it to go. Maybe right here. I think so. So I can go ahead and cut this one off too, because I don't want it peeking through. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this down. All right, tuck this in through here, twist it just a tad. All right, now we've got that in. All right, so hindsight tells me that because I left the tape open on both sides, it potentially could stick. It potentially could. what you can do is you can take your embossing buddy and put it over that tape, and it will de-adhesive it. Is that a word? I don't even know. Is that a word? It makes it not sticky. And so when it makes it not sticky, then you don't have to worry about it sticking down. All right. So I'll go back and do that later. In the meantime, I'm going to bring in my embellishments now that I have the majority of the card made. And I'm going to put a couple of embellishments on this. So let's go ahead and use the take your pick again. And I'm just going to fill in my little center. So I've got one here, and I've got one here, and I'm going to put a third one right here. And now this second card is done. Look how pretty this turned out. Pretty much just like the other one. I did them both pretty much the same. The only difference is I stamped 2 of this greenery, 6 of one, half dozen of another. It still worked. It still worked. All right, so that is card number 2. Let me bring in card number 3. Here I got my embossing going. All right, so my third card is this one. Move this stuff out of the way. Again, a lot with the florals. This time we're using the Fresh Freesia, and we are going to use the Pretty Peacock again. So let me bring out this kit. We've got a basic white card base. I've got some balmy blue for a layer. I've got some designer series paper. I have another piece of balmy blue because we're going to create the inside of this card as well. So I have my cardstock that's going on the inside. I have a label, a circle label that I created utilizing the Spotlight on Nature dies. Look at these dies that come with this set, this bundle. So we are utilizing this big one right here. I've already done the die cutting on that, so we don't have to worry about that. And then I have this die cut. Don't I have it? Yep, it's in here. Yep, this little bitty one. This one actually came from the Unbound Love stamp set. It's a bundle, and lots of dies for this one. I love it when they do sentiments and then they have different labels that you can cut out. So we're utilizing this label right here for this particular card. So we've got that, and then I've got my cardstock to stamp my greenery and my flowers on. And then we've got a little strip of the designer series paper that's going to go on the inside. So we'll do the inside here in just a second, but I'm looking. I need to cut 3 of my flowers in Fresh Freesia, and then I'm going to stamp 2 of one of the leaves and 2 of the other leaves, and then I've got one that's going on the inside as well, so I don't want to forget to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and move this stuff off to the side. I don't want to lose any pieces. And let's get our stamping done. Okay, so I need to do 3 of the flowers, and I'm going to do those in Fresh Freesia. So we'll go ahead and we'll open this up. And let me see if I can get all 3 on here. Straight up and down, and then we'll get 1. Let me see. 2. I've got some extra if I need it. And then see if I can fit the 3rd one in here. I never know if I'm going to be able to do it. Let's see if I can get it done. Let's try here. Got it. We'll just see if we can get a die cut. Okay, so we got the Fresh Freesia done. This one did not turn out quite the way that I liked it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually turn this paper over. It's in this corner. And I'm going to stamp it again. I just missed that center piece for some crazy reason. Much better. And it's in this spot, so it's not going to affect the other 2 flowers. All All right, I'm happy with that. And then let's clean this off real quick. And we're gonna stamp our greenery. Okay, so we're gonna bring in our thick greenery first, and it is right here. And I am going to, we'll see, I've got some extra paper if I need. We're gonna do this in Pretty Peacock, and I'm gonna stamp 2 of these. So we've got 1. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the other one over here. And then I'm gonna see if I can get the 2 leaves. This one I can clean off because we're done using it. And then I've got 2 leaves that I need to do. So let's see if I can get these to fit. So we'll put 1 here. Let's see, we'll do 1 here. Have to turn it just right. I don't know. I may not be able to get these all on. I'm just gonna do this. All right, so I've got 1 here. And then I'm gonna bring in another scrap. Let's see. Another scrap. And I'm gonna stamp 1 here. Okay. And again, it's a good thing I'm die cutting, but look what I did. That corner, why? Why? Okay, here's the scoop. I do need to stamp on the inside of my card. Let me see, let me find the piece that I need, this one. I need to stamp on the inside. And I have a problem here. You can see what it did. I do not want that to happen on the inside of my card. So I'm gonna take my chamois and I'm just gonna clean off that edge. Then I'll re-ink and we're gonna do straight up and straight down, right? That's the plan. Well, I'm gonna start fresh because it looks like I got it on all the edge. All right. Sometimes it's just how it goes. All right, straight up, straight down. And then I'm gonna stamp this one. Let me look again where I want it to go. I think I want it to go right about here. So I'm gonna do straight down, straight up. Yay, no marks. All right, so now one more thing I need to stamp before I put this ink away, and that is the missing U. So I'm gonna bring this little bitty piece in, and I've got missing U right here. Straight up, straight down. I'm gonna actually, where's my test? I'm gonna test it just real quick. Kind of crooked. So that means that I want to just bring the left side down just a tad, and that will work. Just a tad, okay. So now I'm gonna do this, and line this up, bring the left side down just a tad, and hopefully we got it. Yay, Missy Q. Okay, done with the inking. Now we can start to pull this together. All right, so, well, kind of, sort of. We need to die cut, right? So here we go. We're gonna get our dies out again and start cranking these through. So we'll get this one lined up. Let me see, this is not the one that I want. That's the one that I re-stamped, so we'll do that one last. So line this one up to start. That looks good. And then we'll take this one, and I reuse my tape as much as I possibly can. We'll get this one lined up here. So these cards do take a little bit more time, as you can tell, and it's really because of the die cutting, but it's so fun. I love piecing these together and having some dimension to my card. And a lot of times when I'm doing this, especially if I make one card, I make 2 cards, right? And a lot of times when I do this, I just do all my die cutting all at the same time. And then it's done. And then I can just create, build the card. All right, so bringing this back in again. And I'm going to put this one up here. I'm going to bring this one in too. I'm going to get both of these done at the same time. Crank these through. All right. Pull this one off. So we have that flower, and then we'll do that one again. Then we have this one. Push that out. Come on. There we go. All right, then we've got, I'm going to do this for a second. This one. Push it out. Okay, and now we're going to line this one up. We've got 2 more passes we have to do. Our greenery is going to get done in the next pass. And then I've got to do 2 passes with my flowers because I'm doing 3 of those. So this one can get lined up here. And then so the family has had Christmas yesterday. My kids did, and they all had their traditional meals. So I know it sounds a little crazy, but the today we are having white chicken chili. It's kind of a cold, damp, rainy day. I went out this morning and I could hear the rain hitting the pavement. And we had already planned on the white chicken chili anyway. It's one of our favorites, but not necessarily a traditional Christmas meal. But they already had that yesterday. So this way they've got, you know, something a little bit different. My mom, when she does her Christmas, and we do what we call Christ giving, which is a combination of Christmas and Thanksgiving to get the entire family together, the extended family. She does tacos. It's tradition. We do tacos, and we have, you know, all the fixings for tacos and nachos, and so I don't know if the white chicken chili will be a tradition going forward, but that's what we're having today. So as soon as I finish up here, I will go upstairs and get that started. The kids aren't coming until this afternoon, so that'll give me plenty enough time to get everything together. And then it's a house full of hustle and bustle. The grandkids get so excited. The cousins are together and they love playing together. The oldest is 7 and the youngest is 2. And it is a crazy time. And it's just so fun to watch them play together. So I'm excited to have them here. And it's always fun. They'll tell me about what Santa brought, and normally we do Christmas Eve, but my son, the kids are at that age where midnight mass just doesn't work, right? So they wanted to go to church at 6. So we kind of, this time around, my husband wasn't feeling good. He has a bit of a cold, although he is doing much better now. And my mom just recovering from her surgery and stuff. We wanted to keep it a little quiet, so we kind of passed on Christmas Eve this year. So it's been kind of interesting this year in the fact that traditionally things that we would normally do, we didn't. And things that, you know, like instead of ham and mashed potatoes and gravy, I'm fixing white chicken chili. It's kind of fun to be flexible. Most importantly is that we're getting together as a family, and I love that. All right, so let me move these dies out of the way so that I don't lose them. I'm going to put them back in their little box because I am finished with them. So they'll stay where they need to stay. And now I can start to assemble this card. So let's bring all of our pieces back in. And literally, it's just assembly time. So I'm going to put this off here. And we're going to start with our card base. So go ahead and get that burnished. And then we're going to add the designer series paper to the, let me see, I just want to see if these are both the same size. Yes, they are. All right, the designer series paper to our balmy blue layer. Get that centered up as best I can. I'm going to do a little bit of wiggling. All right, that works for me. Let's get this layer down. All right. And it is leaving just a teeny tiny border on the basic white. All right, so we've got that. Now what we'll do is we'll take our label, and remember we cut this from the Spotlight on Nature. Put it off to the left, and I'm actually going to put it up with dimensionals. Whoops. And put one in the middle to prevent sag. So we'll go ahead and get the backs off of these. Pull that off to the side. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get this down, and I'm going to kind of center it top to bottom, off to the side. And now what we can do is we can start kind of layering our leaves and getting them placed. So let me see, I'm going to put one here. And we're going to do these flat. I'm going to put another one here. And then I'll put these two layered like right here. Oops, I got to get the centers of them out. There's that one, and then there's this one. So let's go ahead and get these guys down. And again, not a lot. They can these can have a little bit of movement. I'm happy to allow that. So what I mean by that is I'm just putting enough adhesive down to tack it down. I'm not putting it all over. All right, and then let's put this one down about right here. Okay, then we'll get this one down. And I'm going to place it probably right about here. Maybe a little bit more. I want to make sure the greenery is showing, and then I'll do a little bit more here. Okay, and then we'll layer this on top. Probably maybe right about here, I'm thinking. Is it like I did last time? Maybe not. It's okay. All right, let's take these, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put dimensionals on the backs of them. And let's see. I've got more. I could use the sides, but I don't feel like trimming them up since we're a little over time. So I'll just grab my other pack. Okay. Get the backs off of these. Did I get that? Nope. It's sticking to me. And this one. Okay, got them. All right, so let's go ahead and get this down. And I think we'll put this one right about here. Is that one sticking? Okay. And then we'll do another one right over here. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Maybe this way? Yeah, just like that. Okay, we've got those. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our sentiment, but before I put the sentiment down, I'm going to bring in some of our baker's twine, the 3-color pack, and I'm going to pull out my little balmy blue. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to take a little bit right here on the center, and then I'm going to create a bow with this. I don't want to tie it because I don't want the knot to cause a bump, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do my bow, and then I'm just going to kind of lay it down right here, and I can actually make this loop a little bit bigger. Turn it this way, and then I can make this loop a little bit bigger. And I'm just kind of making my bow as I go. There we go. Okay, now I've got my bow back here. And now what I can do is I can take dimensionals, and let me see, I get them over here. I'm actually going to use 2, I think, because I want some stability to this. So I'm going to put 1 here, and I'm going to put 1 here, and it'll kind of hold the bow in place as well. And then this is going to get placed right here. Tuck it in. I'm feeling around so that my dimensionals are hitting the main layer, this layer right here, but it's tucking in and lining up with the flowers that I already have down. So let me look here. That looks good. We've got that. I've got some dimensionals that we're going to utilize. These are the 2023-2025 in color dots. And I am going to take, these are the gray granite ones, or I should say they're pebbled path. That's what I should call them, is pebbled path. So I'm going to take 1, and I'm going to place it probably right here, and then I'm going to take the smaller one, and I'm going to place it right here. So now we've got our embellishments on. So that's the front of our card, but we're not done yet. We still need to do the inside. So the inside's going to go fairly quick. All we have to do is layer our cardstock on the inside. So I'm going to do the white to, let me see, what's this? To the balmy blue. Get that centered. There we go. And I was just going to look, yep, okay. So get that centered appropriately. That looks good. Then we're going to take a piece of the Designer Series paper, and we're going to run it right across the bottom. It's cut so that it lines up. So we'll do that. And then this would be the time that if you wanted to, actually before we layered it on the balmy blue, but if you wanted to put a sentiment on the inside, you can do that, or you can go ahead and finish the inside, and you can just write a note. So let me get some dimensionals. Do I want to do dimensionals? I'm looking. No, we don't want to do dimensionals. We want it to stay flat. So let me go ahead and get some some adhesive on here. And how do I want to turn this? Let's see. I think I want the greenery to show really well. So maybe take it and put it about, and I'm going to hide that strip. Okay, so we're going to put it there. And then all we need to do is put more adhesive on the back here. Got it. And then I'm going to open this up, and we'll get this layer in to where we want it. Get it centered. And now our inside's done, and our card is finished. How pretty is that? Let me bring these back in. We've got 3 cards. Your kit, if you're interested in the to-go kit for free, will include enough materials to make 2 of each card. and you can make them how you choose. I obviously did these two pretty much the same. I'm going to take my face down for just a second, just so you can see all the cards. I did these two pretty much the same. This one I went a little bit rogue with because I stamped in a different color and I put in some interest as well with the little dots. But these are the 3 cards for today's to-go class. I'm going to come back and see you in just a second. I've made such a nice little mess. I'm trying to get my mess out of the way. So let me come back and see you guys. And again, wish you a happy holiday. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me today. And I will be back next week. Don't forget, if you're interested in the kit, to place your order by the 29th using the host code. And then also, please do like and share. I love sharing and I love reaching out to everyone. So when you like and you share, both here and on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube, it helps me to reach more people, so I appreciate that. So again, happy holidays, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.